Good morning, everyone. We are coming to you live via Facebook streaming, via YouTube streaming, and also via Skype online. Each one of you is welcome to this Saturday morning live streaming. Misery and bliss, a Bhagavad Gita perspective. A Bhagavad Gita perspective. Misery is byproduct of time and bliss is byproduct of eternity. That's the difference. Misery is a byproduct of time. You are miserable in time, and bliss happens in eternity. Man can live either in time or eternity. Both alternatives are open because there is nothing like destiny or like fate as we consider and rely upon it on a day-to-day basis. I am taking to speak on this through the perspective of Bhagavad Gita. And when they blossom, their fragrance is also added. This particular sutra from Bhagavad Gita is the last one. And the sage poet Vedavyas did not allow this verse to come through Krishna. That would have not served the purpose. He did not allow it to emerge out of Arjuna because that would have not been proper. He allows this to happen through the narrator Sanjay. He says this is the last verse of 18th chapter. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishno Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhutir Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. Yatra Yogeshwar Krishna, where there is Krishna, the Lord of Yogeshwar, Lord of Yoga, the Yogeshwar, where there is Partha, the wielder of bow, there is fortune, victory, prosperity, and infallible morality, in my opinion. This is my certitude. This is the culmination. Where there is the presence of the Lord of Yoga, the all-pervading oneness, and when you reach to that infallible courage and trust, there is certainly bound to be fortune, victory, prosperity, and infallible morality. This is my opinion, Sunday says. Vedavyas spoke this through him. There was a reason. He was narrating. He was able to see and hear what was happening in the battlefield between Arjuna and Krishna, which others were not able to understand it. The blind king was listening to it. There was Vidur, the sage minister, was a preview to this. The grandsire, and Vedavyas. Very few verses in Bhagavad Gita peak beyond the normal Brahmanic consciousness. Very few. Bhagavad Gita came from the highest state of an elevated consciousness via Shri Krishna. Shri Krishna was in the human form. There were limitations. The form and formless merged into one another. And the limitations of the body were there. But he was touched by the higher consciousness at his own will and at his own will. Whereas sometimes you are touched by that power within that knows beyond all knowings. But it is not in your control. It may happen, it may not happen. But through Krishna, this highest state of elevated consciousness happened. It maintains a plateau with negligible undulating peaks and valleys. Basically, it is a flat land. However, this last verse transcends the borders of Brahmanic plateau and erects a pillar of such profundity that it can be classified as mantra drishta. Mantra means a mystical composition, and drishta comes from drishti. Drishti means sight, vision. Drishta means one who sees the vision. What had happened to Holy Prophet when he was on Mount Hir? He was in a state of intense meditation. All of a sudden he heard a voice, read. What was there to be read? Nothing was written. It was not a book was shown to him and he was asked, just as a teacher shows a student the alphabet and starts telling him to read. There was nothing like that. A vision comes in, he hears a voice, read. He thinks to himself that he is an illiterate, how can he read? Immediately a higher command from deep within emerges, read. And he started reading. He started envisioning something that was not there physically, but he was able to see that written. This is mantra drishta, par excellence. Obviously, this is easily slighted by dictionary interpretations. There is a verse, this verse is not revealed through Krishna or Arjuna, because that would have not served the purpose. Instead, the sage poet chooses to have Sanjay utter this prophetic verse, the essence of Bhagavad Gita. Someone who has been the messenger to communicate the message to the humanity. Hence the term comes in mantra drishta. It was the vision of Sanjay when he heard all the message of Krishna and he analyzed and he found. He constructs this whole message. He sees it. Where there is deep within you Krishna as the Lord of Yogeshwar, be it in the form of Allah, be in any form, that does not matter. That all pervading oneness is your experience. It is a slight different sight and a direct vision of Vedic dictum. This is very significant as Sanjay was a mere reporter of the scene, a news reporter. But he seems to have magnified the spiritual electricity of the descent of Bhagavad Gita that his consciousness was also lifted to Brahmanic realm, to the higher state, that he was compelled to overflow this closing verse that can be described as mantra drishta. He saw it. Sometimes this kind of a vision comes in you when you are narrating something. You say, this is my certitude that this will happen. And it is on this pinnacle that Vedavyas culminates this revelation. Let's now construct the meaning of each word and draw references from within the text and other Upanishads. The first verse is yatra, means where, which, the three dimensions of time and space. A geographical location in space-time. This is the first one. A geographical location in space-time. The second is psychological aspect, when certain conditions are fulfilled or a particular state is realized by the seeker. Psychological aspect, where certain conditions are fulfilled or a particular state is realized. And third, the spiritual one as part of here, there and everywhere, the omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent. A spiritual local as part of here, there and everywhere, which is one space-time continuum. Yatra has three dimensions, three meanings to it. The physical spatio-time, the geographical, the psychological, when certain conditions are fulfilled or a particular state is realized or attained by the seeker, and spiritual locale as part of here, there and everywhere, which is one spatio-time continuum. Yoga means anyone or all of the disciplines to connect to a higher dimension of consciousness. Yoga means one or all. Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, these are the stages through which every individual goes through. But we choose Bhakti as the path of our discipline to communicate. During your study in the university, you go through various subjects. Then you major in something like that. Yoga means anyone or all of the dimensions to connect to the higher dimension of consciousness. Ishwar. This comes from Ishopanishad, and this is the indwelling controller in all things, specifically refers to the master of time, beyond time and space. Krishna refers to the attractive one who resolves everything into himself and is the indwelling presence in all yoga. This is the masculine energy or the positive pole. Krishna is the masculine energy. Partha is one who is receptive, and that which is receptive is feminine energy. The positive, the masculine, and the feminine energy. Krishna and Partha create the closed circuit to generate the life current, the masculine and the feminine energy. When the masculine energy in you reaches that pinnacle and merges with the feminine energy, then the circuit to generate the life current is complete. Dhanurdhar. Dhanush means bow. Dhar means who bears that. Is the wielder of the bow. Bow is time. Bow is time. And will, which sees all endeavors to its fruition and fulfillment. On the bow of time, you place the arrow of your will and shoot it. Dhanurdhar, bow is time and the will which sees all endeavors to its fruition and fulfillment. Tatra means there and also has three dimensions similar to yatra. The physical, the psychological, and the beyond. Shri. Shri is the name given to, in Hindu mythology, to Lakshmi, the goddess of prosperity, fortune, good luck. Shri means fortune, can also be used an epithet to qualify the grandeur of something. In this case, the magnanimity of victory attained via the combination of Krishna and Arjuna, when there is the masculine and feminine energy merged into one another, the life current is generated, and out of that the prosperity, victory, the magnanimity of it is attained. Vijay means victory and shares three dimensions, just as victory is not only at the physical plane. Just as yatra, tatra and vijay, these have three dimensions. The physical victory over enemies and obstacles which everyone seeks. Physical victory over enemies and obstacles. Psychological victory over negative forces that threaten the spiritual realization. The second dimension, victory over negative forces that threaten the spiritual realization. And the ultimate victory, which is freedom or moksha, three dimension of Vijay. This moksha we saw insight, for was easily available to Arjuna when he surrendered and was receptive to Krishna through his surrender and receptive attitude. Hence the use of the application Partha for Arjuna. Partha is used for Arjuna. Bhuti means prosperity, opulence, abundance, fulfillment, attainment. And Dhruva means infallible, firmly rooted, unshakable. These all words are used in its descriptive case to qualify the transformative victory that is the outcome through the union of Krishna and Arjuna on the battlefield, on the battle stage of life, which is used as a metaphor for yogic journey, Krishna and Arjun does not only win the war of Mahabharata, instead fulfills the yogic or inner voyage of every seeker. Krishna and Arjun does not only win the war of Mahabharata, instead fulfills the yogic voyage for inner transformation. Niti. Niti means morality and good governance. It is the science of polity and suggests that on physical geography there will be a utopia. On the psychological plane there will be a balanced equanimity of emotions and a positive mental attitude. And on a spiritual realm there will be enlightened life or life divine. Niti refers to morality or good governance, which is the essence of politics. It is science of polity that suggests on physical geography there will be a utopia. On the psychological plane there will be an equanimity or balanced emotions and a positive attitude towards life and living. And on the spiritual realm there will be enlightened life, or life of freedom, or life of moksha, or life divine. Mati translates as opinion, but includes inner conviction. This is certitude that this is so. This is the opinion based on studied reflection, careful consideration of all the factors, on the basis of the experience, on the basis of inner vision. In this particular instance, it is the outcome of the mantra drishta, Sanjay, who envisions everything, hears everything that is happening between Krishna and Arjun on the battlefield. It is the outcome of the mantra drishta, a seeing with inner eye, the result of Sanjay's magnified intuition that was uplifted by the Brahmanic realm, wherein he sees and formulates this mantra and culminates the Bhagavad Gita on a crescendo. Mama. Nitir Matir Mama. Mama means my. This is referring to Sanjay's vision. This is my certitude. And what is the certitude? Where there is Lord of Yoga, where there is Arjun Partha, the wielder, and the qualities I have just mentioned, there is bound to be victory, prosperity, liberation. Wherever there is a beloved devotee like Arjun, who though initially weak and oscillating, is still ever ready to free himself by renunciation and slaying his would-be captors. The sense pleasure. Would-be captors, what are the would-be captors? Would-be captors are sense pleasures with bow and self-control, who is able to unite his individual soul with the omnipresent God consciousness as manifested in Krishna, master of time and yoga. The devotee is bound to find his everlasting riches, victory over all matters through his positive fulfillment of the divine law of liberation or moksha. He will have unending spiritual attainment, miraculous powers, and eternal bliss. Sanjay says, this is my certitude. That's why misery is the byproduct of time and bliss is the byproduct of eternity. Had Arjun not yielded to Krishna, he would have lived in time. But by his surrender, by his devotion to Krishna, he is part of eternity. Both alternatives like Arjun are available to you, because there is nothing like destiny or like fate. Man is the freedom. You are the freedom. He comes without a fate. The future is open, always open. It is not determined when you are born. Each act that you perform determines it. All your conscious acts give you freedom, and unconscious acts create bondage for you. This is the essence of fate. All that you perform consciously gives you freedom. Doesn't matter what you are doing. You can choose any aspect of life. Anything. Consciously, if you are writing something, singing something, speaking something, cooking or painting or something else, consciously, it will give you freedom. That is why I insist, based on the inner qualities of an individual seeker, what he is supposed to do. When I ask you to write something, it is to be conscious of that it is happening through you. But inertia comes in. And that is what is going to give you freedom. When all unconscious acts are happening through you, whether going to the temple or the church or visiting a shrine or anywhere, if it is unconscious, it creates bondage for you. In each act, your choice is hidden, and each step you can change the very direction of your life. Millions of people live in time because they live in mind, they live through the mind. There is a simple reason for this. They are born in a crowd which knows nothing beyond time, which knows nothing of eternity. Their parents have lived in time, their teachers have lived in time, their leaders have lived in time. The entire society around them lives in time. Time means living between birth and death. What is time? Time means living between birth and death. Hence, every child starts imitating. And that is one of the greatest crime. But no matter how much you are told, how much you are cautioned, you like to imitate. That is the way the child learns. But that is also how he becomes conditioned, following the norms of society and traditions of the family and the religion. He becomes conditioned. It is a rare phenomenon to get out of the rut of the time. Only a few people have managed up to now. Not even the names which are thought to be not even all the names which are thought to have escaped, not all the so-called saints and Mahatmas and sages, not more than 1% of your so-called saints have been able to escape from the prison of time. They all live in time. Time creates misery, and its walls are invisible. I heard Mullah Nasruddin said in his will that when he died, he wants to be a mausoleum has to be created around him, around his shrine, with no walls on it. And let there be a gate and a big lock on the gate, and the key should be thrown in the grave when he died. No walls around, but a big gate with a lock on it, and the key is hidden in the grave. This refers to invisible walls. Hence, there is a desire and longing to get rid of misery. But you need great intelligence to see that misery is bound to be there if you choose time as your lifestyle. If you choose time as your lifestyle, time means change. Time means change. And when everything is changing, you cannot cling to anything. You do not have any support or security. There is no earth underneath your feet to stand firm. You are standing on a ground that is shifting constantly. This makes you feel afraid, worried, and anxious. This becomes the root cause of one's misery, despair, and hopelessness. But there is a way, and the way is not to fight with misery. Remember, not to fight with misery. Instead, the way is to get out of the wheel of time. The wheel of time has been moving swiftly. In a way, it is very simple, but sometimes the simplest thing, the very obvious thing, is missed because it is too obvious. And our eyes are searching for something great and far away, and it is very close by. Everybody has been told that time consists of 3 tenses or layers: past, present, and future. This is absolutely wrong. Really, time consists of only past and future. Present is the penetration of eternity. Present is the penetration of eternity. Present does not belong to time, instead it is transcendental. To live in the present is to get out of the time, to be here now, when all dimensions vanish. Totally here now. It is to be out of the wheel of time. And the miracle is that the moment you are out of the wheel of time, you are out of misery. You are miserable because you are part of the time, the dimension of time. The moment you go beyond the dimension of time, you are out of misery. Misery is a byproduct of time, and bliss is the byproduct of timelessness or eternity. And one can decide to move into eternity. You can decide to move into eternity any moment, because it is always there and always available to you in all its dimensions. In fact, the past is never there, but we cling to it. So too the future is not yet born, is unknown, and you cling to it. You go to the priest, to the fortune teller, to try to know your future. We cling to non-entities, the past and the future. And because both our hands are clinging to non-entities, we miss exactly what is in the middle of the boat. The present, the real, the existential, the eternal. And both our hands are full. One is full of the past and the other is full of the future. One part of your being is full of memories and the other is full of fantasies, dreams and projections. One side is memory and the other side is fantasies, dreams and projections. And you swing between these two, the memories and fantasies. Between these two is the very subtle and delicate moment. It is just like the rose flower crushed and missed. Meditation simply means not to miss it and to get in tune with it. Slowly and slowly, empty your empty hands. Slowly and slowly empty your hands of the past and the future, so that you can be full of now, and that is transformation. And this brings immense bliss. It opens the door of the divine. It takes you into a dimensionless dimension beyond time and space. Misery is the byproduct of time, and bliss is the byproduct of eternity. When Arjuna was living in time, through the dimension of time, the life was miserable, there was ignorance. And the moment you move from known to unknown dimension, or the dimension of time to timelessness, surrender to Krishna, prosperity, victory, liberation, moksha happen to you. Only this much for this morning. Until tomorrow, take care and do have a pleasant day.